You ever have one of those days where the sun's shining, the air smells like fresh-cut grass, and all you want to do is enjoy a dip in the pool you built yourself? Yeah, that was me, until Karen showed up. Not just any Karen, the Karen. Hair like a blonde storm cloud, voice louder than my lawnmower, and somehow the self-appointed ruler of the HOA, even though she doesn't technically live on our street. She claimed her cousin's boyfriend's aunt once house sat here, which apparently gives her authority. I was mid-backstroke when she leaned over the fence and shouted, "You don't belong here! I'm calling the cops!" On me, in my own pool. And she wasn't bluffing. Cue sirens. Cue flashing lights. Cue the officer awkwardly standing by my grill while I hand him the deed to the house. But here's where it gets better. Or worse, depending on your love for chaos. This wasn't a one-time thing. Nope. Karen had declared war. 911 calls. HOA complaints. Even tried to get me fined for unauthorized splashing. She had no idea who she was dealing with. Because you see, I built that pool with my bare hands, and I wasn't about to let someone like her tell me where I could swim. But here's the kicker. I didn't just fight back. I turned the whole neighborhood against her. Stick around, because what happened next? Let's just say, Karen got soaked in more ways than one. My backyard is my sanctuary. I spent 2 summers after work digging, measuring, pouring concrete. No contractors. Just me, a shovel, a YouTube addiction, and one very patient golden retriever named Moose. By the end, I had my dream. A beautiful lap pool with slate tile edges, solar heating, and a waterfall feature that made my mom cry the first time she saw it. So, imagine my surprise when Karen popped up like a Disney villain with a clipboard. "You're in violation of Section 14B of the HOA guidelines." "What guidelines?" I asked, wiping sweat off my forehead. "The ones I just printed." Now, I knew for a fact my neighborhood didn't have a functioning HOA. It was technically disbanded 5 years ago due to, ironically, too much infighting. But that didn't stop Karen from trying to revive it, one printed pamphlet at a time. I tried to laugh it off. I even offered her a lemonade. "You think this is a joke? You're destroying the character of this neighborhood!" And that's when the first 911 call happened. She told the dispatcher there was a suspicious man in someone else's pool. That man, yours truly. The officer showed up, asked for ID. I showed him the deed, offered him lemonade too. He left chuckling. Karen, she was furious. "You may have won today," she hissed over the fence, "but I'm not done." And she meant it. The next week, an anonymous complaint about unauthorized aquatic structures. Week after that, fake HOA warnings taped to my door. Then, someone poured sugar in my pool filter. That's when I realized this wasn't going away on its own, and I needed a plan. Because Karen had just started playing dirty, you'd think calling the cops once would be enough. But Karen made it her daily ritual. First, it was noise complaints. Never mind that my pool's pump is quieter than a whisper and Moose snores louder than my Bluetooth speaker. She told the dispatcher I was hosting unregistered pool parties. It was me, alone, floating with a paperback. Then came the mysterious HOA citations, pages of fake bylaws, printed on paper that still had the Staples receipt attached. Violation 12A, excessive aquatic use. What does that even mean? Then one morning, I stepped outside to find my pool, covered in bright pink glitter. Glitter. It took 6 hours to vacuum it out. Moose was traumatized, sparkled for days. I installed cameras after that. And guess who I caught on footage at 2 a.m.? Tossing what appeared to be marshmallows and cat litter into my hot tub. Karen, in a bathrobe, wearing a headlamp. She was caught mid-throw, arms frozen like she just saw a T-Rex. I printed screenshots and mailed them anonymously to everyone on the street. Titled it, "Wildlife Spotted in Suburbia." Neighbors started whispering. Someone set up a group chat called Karen Watch. I got added anonymously. But the real kicker? One Saturday, she showed up with a guy she claimed was a certified HOA inspector. He was her nephew. I Googled him. He ran a vape shop. He told me my diving board was structurally offensive. I told him to leave before Moose decided his ankle looked like a chew toy. That afternoon, she filed a noise complaint while I was at work. That's when I lost it. I started getting mail, actual letters, from made-up departments. Community Compliance Bureau, Residential Tranquility, Unit. Each one stamped with an eagle and what looked suspiciously like a clip art gavel. She was escalating. So I escalated right back. I installed motion-sensing sprinklers along my fence. If she even tiptoed near my yard. Splash. One night I watched from my upstairs window as she tried. Sneaking around back. Click. Hiss. Whoosh. Full body soak. Like she'd been baptized in vengeance. But it didn't stop her. She started cornering neighbors, asking them to sign a petition to drain the menace. One guy signed Mickey Mouse, another put Nope Nope McNopenstein. That's when I realized something important. People were tired of her. She didn't just hate my pool. She hated Joy. So I decided to flip the script. It wasn't just about me anymore. Karen needed to learn a lesson, and I had just the plan to do it. First, I rallied the neighbors, quietly. I knocked on doors, invited them over for a quick chat and lemonade. You'd be surprised how ready people were to talk about Karen. Apparently, I wasn't the only one she'd terrorized. She once reported a neighbor's wind chimes as domestic terrorism. Another time, she demanded a kid's lemonade stand have a business license. We formed a plan, Operation Splashback. I started with paperwork. Legit, ironclad paperwork. The original HOA had disbanded years ago. But if we had enough signatures, we could vote to officially dissolve any attempt to resurrect it. A legal rebuke to Karen's reign. Within days, I had 24 out of 30 houses signed on. I turned it in to the city's community board. They smiled. Apparently Karen had called them too. Often. Next, visual deterrence. I had yard signs made, pool built with honor, not hate. One neighbor printed t-shirts that said, "Let him swim." We wore them on our morning walks. I upgraded my sprinkler system. Motion activated, yes, but now with temperature-sensitive mist. A chilly 50 degrees. Just enough to inspire immediate retreat. I also started live streaming my backyard, pool cam, on a public feed. Nothing exciting, just me doing laps, Moose occasionally belly flopping. But when Karen tried to accuse me of throwing parties at midnight, the timestamps told a different story. She looked ridiculous. Then came the best part, the neighborhood summer. Splash bash. I applied for a block party permit, got it approved, rented inflatables, hired a taco truck, and made sure Karen wasn't invited. But I sent her a front row seat, literally. A lawn chair placed just outside the caution tape. She showed up, huffing like a tea kettle, demanding to speak to the manager of the street. Someone handed her a juice box. By the end of the day, even the cops who showed up, at her request, again, stayed for churros. That was the moment things truly shifted. Neighbors were no longer afraid of her. They left. They posted photos. They shared stories. Karen's power? Gone. And the final blow? Well, that came next. Justice arrived on a Tuesday. It started with a knock. A city code officer, one of the real ones, showed up with a clipboard and a tight-lipped smile. We received a request to verify ongoing code complaints. I nodded, happy to help. He walked the perimeter, inspected the pool, the yard, even Moose's doghouse. Everything looks compliant, he said. Actually, you've done an excellent job with the drainage slope. Mind if I take a few photos? We're updating the city's landscaping standards. Karen watched from across the street. Arms crossed so tight it looked like she was trying to hold in steam. The officer crossed over to her. She waved her binder like a white flag and a battle cry all in one. That's when I heard it. You're the one filing the complaints? Her voice went up 3 octaves. I am the neighborhood standards officer. No, ma'am. That position doesn't exist. He asked to see her ID. She refused. That refusal triggered a formal warning for impersonating a municipal official. Apparently, filing dozens of false complaints under a made-up title isn't just annoying, it's illegal. 2 weeks later, she received a notice of fines. Real ones, from the city, totaling $1,750 for false reports, or trespassing, for tampering with private property. She tried to appeal. The city clerk laughed, and then, in true poetic fashion, the neighborhood had one final party. Karen's going-away splashdown. I didn't plan it. It just happened. Neighbors brought beach balls and sparkling cider. Someone brought a karaoke machine. We set up lawn chairs in our front yards. Moose wore sunglasses. And there, for all to see, was the moving truck parked in front of Karen's house. Turns out her cousin's boyfriend's aunt was selling the place. Karen had nowhere to go but away. Right before she slammed the truck door, she shouted across the street, "This isn't over!" I raised my lemonade, cool as ever. I know, it's just finally drying up. Slow motion? Check. Justice? Served. Looking back, I never set out to wage war on anyone. All I wanted was to swim in peace. Grill a burger now and then. And maybe teach Moose how to dog paddle without panicking halfway through. But sometimes peace has to be earned. And sometimes justice isn't loud or violent, it's wet. Witty and wrapped in pool noodles. Karen taught me something important. People like her don't care about rules. They care about control. And the best way to beat them isn't by yelling louder, it's by rallying smarter. We didn't stoop to her level. We rose above it. Then we splashed it. And hey, the pool. Still going strong. The glitter's long gone. The camera's still rolling. And the water's never been clearer. The new neighbors? Super chill. They brought over guac and asked if Moose could come to their daughter's birthday party. Karen may be gone, but the stories? Legendary. The shirt? Still in my drawer. And the sprinkler? Oh, it stays armed. So here's the real takeaway. If someone ever tries to make you feel small in a place you built with your own hands, don't shrink. Stand tall, float if you must, and install motion sprinklers. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with a Karen or someone who tried to control something that was never theirs to begin with? Drop your story in the comments. Let's share a laugh or a battle plan. And if you made it this far, comment justice served below. Let's flood the feed with some poetic poolside justice. Until next time, stay cool, stay kind, and never let anyone tell you when or where you're allowed to swim. Cue outro music. Moose belly flops into frame.